Writing can boost your IQ on demand, and it's at literally zero cost. Before I got into the habit of consistently writing my thoughts, they would all be shallow. I felt like, sure, I want to work hard, but what do I work hard on? I kind of felt stuck by whatever shallow thoughts I had. I wish I could have had some breakthrough. Hope that I would figure something out that makes sense. One day I stumbled upon Tim Ferriss, and he said that I would credit the success I had to writing. Writing improves your thinking. With writing, you can put your thoughts on the paper so you can sharpen them. You're probably also wondering, what the hell does writing has to do with success and thinking? But after sitting down and getting into that writing rabbit hole, I realized that usually in the first couple of minutes, you're just brain dumping on paper, writing a bunch of random stuff that happened to you that day, or you just write down how you feel in general. But after you've crossed that initial shallow part, you start having deeper thoughts. It's like all of a sudden you discover more options that make a lot of sense, but you just were not able to see before. And even though randomly writing will already refine your thinking, there are 3 frameworks for writing that will help you think more deeply and critically. But first, to really improve our thinking with writing, we should understand what it does to our brain and how to use writing to improve our brain's performance and use it as a thinking tool. Not how to become a better writer in the sense of an author who wants to write a book and publish it. Writing in general improves cognitive skills. It helps with memory, creativity, concentration. When we write, we are actually taking advantage of a quirk in our brain. Thinking is a demanding process. Our brain has a hard time handling information internally. And that's one of the problems why thinking deeply is difficult. You want to build on your existing thoughts so you can go deeper, but the brain has a limited capacity of doing that. When you write, you're basically doing externalization. You're converting internal thoughts to external information on paper. This frees your mind to keep working on producing thoughts, and it also makes it easier for your mind to go deeper on your existing written thoughts, because now that information is coming in as an external input that the brain handles much better. You probably heard that teaching is a great way to learn, and it's also because of externalization. When we are teaching, we do that in the forms of speaking and writing, and both are ways to externalize the information, so we can think better and deepen our understanding. Computers also work in a similar way. A computer has a main memory unit called the RAM, which it can access more quickly, but it can also store only a small amount of information in it. And then it also has the hard drive, which takes more time to access, but it can be much larger than the RAM. And because of that very reason, there are programs that take advantage of the hard drive to do very large calculations that won't be possible in the RAM. So the hard drive is like how the computer externalizes information and allows the same CPU to be much more powerful. And that's the first and only analogy that came to my mind thanks to doing a computer science degree. Brain scans actually show that the brain is very active when we write, and even more so when we do handwriting. Barry Gordon, who is a cognitive neurologist, says that it turns out that we use virtually every part of the brain and that most of the brain is active almost all the time. And because the brain is so engaged, when we write, we see the increase in reasoning, critical thinking, and cognition. All of that results in our brain producing and refining thoughts when we write. Instead of thinking that we are writing only pre-existing thoughts, we actually create them on demand. This is why creative people whose job is to think and produce ideas on demand say that writing is the most important tool to have. Just as an example, Kevin Kelly, who co-founded Wired, really attributes his ability to consistently generate ideas to using writing as a system for thinking. One last thing you should consider is that for any of the writing methods, you should always use handwriting instead of typing on a computer. You can't really compare how handwriting helps you think and develop your ideas compared to typing. That's what the research says, but also really from my experience, you will get so much more from handwriting compared to typing. So the first writing method to boost your brain's performance is mind mapping. In mind mapping, you start with a central idea, like a business that you want to build, a subject that you want to learn, or something general you want to think about, from designing your ideal future to planning your birthday. From there, you branch out into related concepts. You go one layer and then to the next, and you slowly start creating a visual web of connections. So you're basically going from something monotone to something non-linear. And this is actually important. If you use different colors, small drawings, that's even better. You should go from the middle and expand instead of creating a flowchart. When you do this, your brain is actually flexing some serious mental muscles. The latest evolutionary part of our brain is the cerebral cortex, the thinking cap. And it's called like that because that outer layer is what actually does thinking and performs intellectual tasks. The formal term for that is cortical skills. Different parts of that outer layer have different functions. The regions of the cerebral cortex are mapped to tasks like logic, creativity, concentration, planning, daydreaming, and all of that is why mind mapping really boosts your brain's performance and can allow you to think more deeply and be more creative. Because when you mind map, you're using multiple regions of the cerebral cortex, the non-linear structure, the associations, and images. But it's not only that you're using your brain at a larger capacity, it's also that using different regions of the cerebral cortex enhance their performance to create this sort of a positive feedback loop. This was discovered by Dr. Roger Sperry, who won a Nobel Prize for these discoveries. So basically, doing mind mapping is like having your brain do sit-ups, so you can have a nice six-pack brain. Another completely different method to sharpen your thinking is using different writing frameworks. So here, you need to have some sort of a goal or something that you want to do. And you're just going to start by writing on that topic. You can start with mind mapping, but at some point you want to write your plan and write in detail what you're going to do. And after you finish writing your first draft, now you're going to write some response. First, you're going to write as an optimist who reads your plan and talks about why and how the things that you wrote down are going to work. And what are some good things that you even missed that can make things even better. Next, you're going to write as a pessimist. Basically, now you're a critic who is going to challenge everything that you said and try to find all the possible problems. Look for any assumptions that you made and any detail that you left out. Take time to analyze your first draft and make arguments to why the things you wrote are actually not right. You're not doing this to discourage yourself, but actually the other way around. It's like thinking about the worst possible scenario and preparing for it. Instead of being surprised, you can see things before they happen so you can be more smart in taking actions. After you've done both drafts as an optimist and a pessimist, now you revise your original plan. And now you can actually see the gaps in your logic, and you can address them to make a stronger plan. The more you do this, the more you will be able to see and figure things out. And if you ever felt that you don't have something that makes sense for you to work hard on, after doing this for a while, you will have too many options. Before I use writing as a tool to think, I would very quickly hit the capacity of ideas I can think of. And it was almost impossible to think about something in a deep, elaborate way. It was only with the light bulb moment that I would have some interesting thought, but I can't really control those. But now it's basically a simple system. Whenever I want to think deeply, I just sit down and use these methods. And that's why I do them every day. Another way to use writing as a tool to think and improve thinking is doing mind decluttering. You just want to flush everything your mind is preoccupied with so you can get to free its resources and think with a clean slate. Just like dirt that builds up on your body that you wash at some point in the day, each day our mind gets cluttered with lots of thoughts. You must have had a moment where you were in nature or on some vacation and had literally nothing to worry about, or just a time that you felt really deeply relaxed. And at times like that, it's much easier to just think. Now, this is not as random as a light bulb moment. There are things that you can do that will help you to get to that state, but writing as a way to declutter your mind is easier, and it also helps you to go deeper. So to do that, you just start by dumping your consciousness on paper, completely free form. Just take a paper and pen, and you will have an urge to write about something. And then you will have another thing come up, and you can write about that. At some point, you will feel that you've wrote everything that you have on the top of your mind, and that will kind of feel relaxing. At that point, use these prompts to go deeper. It's going to feel like you're giving a shower and deep cleaning your mind, and you discover things about yourself that you would either realize much later in life or not at all and just go by autopilot. This will be like giving you a foundation so you could completely focus on mind mapping or using frameworks for writing towards your big picture. Today, pretty much everything is dominated by digital digital. It feels like an outdated habit to write with a paper and pen. But this is how great thinkers in the past have done their work. They had a lot of great ideas because they were using a tool for thinking. If Leonardo da Vinci had spent too much time scrolling social media instead of writing, the Mona Lisa would probably look something like this. Now, it's not like we're going to become extraordinary polymaths that come up with dozens of breakthroughs with writing, but hey, not being constrained by shallow thoughts at the price of a notebook and some ink, I'll take any day.